No one's talking about Russia's security guarantees, only about Ukrainian and European security guarantees. But then, just before we came on the air here, apparently Lavrov now is also saying, hey, how about China? He says Moscow won't agree with collective security guarantees negotiated without Russia. Russia will accept it if the security guarantees to Ukraine are provided on an equal basis with participation of countries like China. And he says it's a complete non-starter for Western allies if they just want to say security guarantees for Ukraine, but nothing for Russia. So what do you make of that? Because I almost wonder if, just like some of the Europeans were saying, yeah, we still want to keep NATO on the table, that Lavrov is saying, yeah, sure, we'll do security guarantees as long as you can be okay with Chinese troops in Europe on the border between the two of us. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, he's feeding them back what they're trying to feed him, and he's doing that to show, because they'll reject that. They won't accept that at all. And that makes his point, that this is not about seeking a genuine peace settlement. This is about controlling, using Russia as a wedge to ultimately go after China. And so Lavrov understands that this is not just about dealing with Russia as a threat. This has much broader strategic purpose. Go back and look at a paper that was written by Aaron Wes Mitchell in the National Interest. It was published in August of 2021. And that was based on an article, a paper he wrote for policy planning at DOD that had been delivered the previous December of 20. And in it, it lays out very clearly that the goal is to provoke a war. Remember, this is August of 2021, 6 months before the start of the special military operation, that the West is going to provoke a war with Russia and defeat Russia, and in the defeat bring Russia so that it has to have an alliance with the West, that then we can use that to finally go out and contain and defeat China. That's what this is all about. This has been, and Elbridge, sort of a partner of A. Wes Mitchell, is Elbridge Colby, grandson of Bill Colby, the former CIA director. Colby's big on that too. He said, our threat's China. We got to deal with China. So in a way, Russia is sort of a sideshow to what is this broader strategic thinking of the deep state. And, Trump's oblivious to it, but Lavrov's not, and Putin's not. They understand.
They do. Listen, in the last few minutes that we have here, what comes next? Because what's being talked about next is a bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin. They're still trying to figure out where that might be. And then a trilat to also include Trump. But it sounds to me like we're a long way from getting anything done here, yet the Russians seem to be willing to talk about it. How do you see it?
Yeah, no, they'll talk. But the meeting between Putin and Zelensky is not going to happen until the negotiating teams for both Ukraine and Russia come to agreements, and that it's going to be effectively a surrender by Ukraine. There's nothing that Russia's going to back up. Russia's not going to give back any of the territory that it currently occupies that has been legally incorporated into Russian Federation under Russian law. Now, people say, oh, that's illegal under international law. Okay, take your international law and blow it out your nose. The reality is
nobody seems to follow that on either side of this line. If I can just say, it is a might makes right situation, both in the West and in the Russia right now. It's just how we're having it. You can argue against that. But you're talking about the territory there. It seems to me that the only thing Russia would be willing to do was to say, we'll withdraw from the toehold we have in Sumy and that territory in the two different places in the
Kharkiv,
Oblast,
Dnipropetrovsk,
et cetera. Yeah. But then, as you said earlier, and I think this is I think it's a non-negotiable for the Russians. Tell me if you think differently, that all of the administrative borders of all four of those oblasts are not even up for negotiations for their term, meaning
Correct.
They're not going to freeze the line in the southern two oblasts and let Ukraine keep the other two, which would seem to mean either there has to be a surrender by the Ukraine side or the war will just keep going on. How do you see it?
Yeah, no, the war's going to keep going on. That's what I say. I've maintained all along, this is not a stalemate. This is not a frozen conflict, and Russia's not losing. The advantages are piling up for Russia with each passing day, and they're under no time constraint. People keep pretending like this is, it's the fourth quarter and there are only 2 minutes left of the game. They got to hurry up and finish. And if I hear another one of these generals like Ben Hodges or Jack King talk about, oh, look, Russia's only taken 19% of Ukraine in 3.5 years. Hey, bozo, how did we do in Afghanistan after 21 years? Okay? Shut up.
You got to go there.
Yeah. No American has any room to talk anymore about our military prowess when a bunch of goat herders in Afghanistan kicked our ass. Okay? And we don't like to admit it, but they did. And we ended up creating a well-armed army that didn't exist before in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and you've mentioned several times also that the territory is almost a second, maybe needed almost. It is a secondary operation for the Russian side, but the destruction of the Ukrainian armed forces is their primary objective. And they may have only taken 19% in 3.5 years, but if those numbers are even close to being right, that have been allegedly hacked into, then there has been some profound cost to the Ukraine side.
Exactly right. And it is, as you know, far better than I, by virtue of your service, that the strength of a military is always dependent upon the quality of its soldiers.
100%. So last question here. Do you think that Zelensky will agree to a meeting with Putin if Putin agrees to it?
No. He'll be signing his death warrant. And Putin's not going to go meet Zelensky anywhere outside of Russia. So if there's going to be a meeting, it's going to be a meeting of surrender. They don't, like I said, they don't have anything to negotiate on. It's not like Ukraine. The only thing Ukraine can say is, we're going to completely divorce ourselves from the West. He's not doing that. That's his.
So what about Zelensky saying, okay, I'm going to play the tough guy. I'm going to go ahead and meet him, and I'm going to come in here with all my demands. You're going to do X, Y, and Z, even though Russia says we're only going to do A, B, and C. Is that a possibility? So you got the two guys meeting, but it turns into a February in the Oval Office kind of situation.
Yeah, no, I don't see that happening at all, because again, Zelensky can make all the demands he wants. Russia's got the upper hand. Russia's army is now up to 1.3 million. Zelensky's only able to field barely 300,000 now in Ukraine. So it's just the numbers are working against them.
And so what do you say to people who say, okay, well, if those numbers are accurate, if one side has 1.3 million, the other side only has 0.3, why wouldn't they just roll them up, in short order?
Well, one, they're trying to minimize casualties on the Russian side. So they're not going to go putting people out if they can continue to press until they collapse. The collapse will come at some point. But again, we ought to ask ourselves the same question, that if we're so great militarily, why weren't we able to stop the Houthis? If we're so great militarily, why didn't we take complete control and lock down all of Afghanistan? So it's, the Russians they've got their own timetable. I don't pretend, the general staff doesn't call me up and ask me for a briefing.
That's too bad, because I was going to ask, but
so.
Well, listen, we'll certainly just continue to keep an eye on this and continue to watch and continue sending folks to sonar21.com, because they don't have to wait till the next time you're on our show here. They can go and read all about your stuff as it's happening in real time. Appreciate you coming on today as always, and looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, man.
All right. We appreciate you guys too. Be sure and like and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. And just as another reminder to share with your friends that we're on podcasts. I know a lot of folks actually prefer to get their information just on the pod, because they can put it on the background. I've never understood that. I've never liked those particularly, but some people love them. So we're going to make sure that they have them available. So we have there the podcast. We also have on the written format there with Daniel Davis deepdive.substack.com. So that you can pass that along to your friends too. Make sure that they know what's going on there, because however they like to get it, we have it available here so that they get access to the same uncompromised and open, honest stuff that you get here. Make sure they get the same opportunities. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you probably this afternoon at 3 o'clock. I'm going to do an update on the tactical situation. Since the last time we talked, there's been a lot of things happening in Pokrovsk, and the Ukraine side has made some counterattacks. The Russian side has made some responses, and we're going to see what does the net of all this, and where are we now of all these diplomatic opportunities here. Thank you very much. We'll see you this afternoon at 3 o'clock on the Daniel Davis Deep Dive.